boys from the Dwarf. Yeah, I keep on rolling through with Red Dwarf stuff, and I've now watched series 12, which was the last one before the new thing that aired. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna even get to see that. I'll get back to you on that. But, yeah! So, let's talk about this now. It's not quite as good as series 11, I don't think. It feels a little bit more retready. And I mentioned in my review of series 11 that the show was retreading old ground but finding new ways to come at the same ideas. It did that here too, but some of the episodes felt more... It felt like there was less of a new angle, like a slightly new one, not as new and not quite as fresh as they managed on the previous go. But let's talk about these episodes. So first up, there's Cured. And this one is the one where the crew come across this ship that appears to have all these frozen, horrible people, like Hitler and Vlad the Impaler and Stalin. And they all are marked as cured of evilness. And there's a doctor there who claims to have found a cure for this. And so a big chunk of it is them just kind of hanging out with these people, which isn't quite as inherently funny as I think they thought it was. That said, there are still some good gags in this. I called the twist towards the end pretty early on. And I feel like they strung along a little too obviously on that. But also they did also call out something that I noted and like make a joke out of the fact that the guy who's playing Hitler doesn't actually look all that much like Hitler. That made me smile. It wasn't the strongest opening in the world, but it was pretty solid. So after that, it was Siliconia. So this is the crew encountering just a whole bunch of mechanoids. Crichton kind of gets swept up in this idea of living with them and no longer being a servant. And there's also some stuff that goes down with the rest of the crew where I'm not even going to bother explaining how, because it's kind of contrived, but they all get put in basically Crichton makeups. That is interesting to watch. And also it's one of those cases where this was stuff that I knew, but it re-emphasizes the fact that some of these actors are decent at impersonations and others aren't. Craig Charles can't really do an impersonation all that much. Danny John Jules can a little bit. And Chris Berry freaking nails them. As they start to adapt Crichton's mannerisms and his way of speaking. So that's kind of fun for the contrast on it there. But again, just kind of okay. There wasn't like a super standout episode this series. The way there was in the previous one. Or in series 10 for that matter. The third one was Time Wave, which was an odd one. First of all, it's got a weird name, given that what it's really about is them encountering this out-of-time ship that has an anti-criticism law. And given how much the characters on Red Dwarf bicker with each other, you can bet they run afoul of this thing pretty quickly. It seems to be trying to be making an anti-political correctness stance. It's not so blunt that I was eye-rolling on it, but I was just kind of going like, I don't know. I'm not going to say it was edgelordy, because it wasn't that crass and that unsophisticated. It had a little bit more going with that, but it was in the same zip code. So, that was okay. The performances helped in that. Especially there's a cop in this bright pink policeman's outfit. He was great. I liked him a lot. But again, that one was pretty good. I feel like that's the running thing for this series overall. And then there was, how do you pronounce this? Mechocracy, I think is what it is. This has the various mechanical devices and machines all go on strike, which, like, cool. This is probably my favorite one of this series. And then it becomes they want representation on the crew, and so there's an election where Crichton and Rimmer are running against each other, trying to be voted as president of the Mechanicals, basically. And once it gets into the election stuff, it's a little less interesting. Again, it's kind of very on the nose, rudimentary political satire about smear campaigns and things like that. It doesn't really have anything that particularly interesting to say. I mean, granted, what's been going on in politics in the last few years in the UK and America, and a lot of places for that matter, I get why they wanted to tackle it, but they don't really have a lot to bring to the table on the topic. But it's handled well enough as far as that goes. And, bonus, return of Talkie the Toaster, who I do like, but I still like the talking toaster from the earliest seasons before he got really overblown as being annoying. But I don't know. That's me being overly nostalgic for the opening season. Just seeing him turn up again was a good laugh for me. I enjoyed that. Probably a contributing factor for why I like that one best. After that was M Corp. This one talking about sort of the nature of corporations and how much they own and how much they can control. I feel that of the satirical points being made this season about things like political correctness, about the election process and campaigning, I feel like the commentary being done on corporate just power run rampant, probably the most biting of the satirical stuff that they do, because they've managed to find a direction and really use and embrace the sci-fi setting to do that in a little bit more of a unique way. Actually, this kind of competes with Mechocracy for my favorite one. And what I mean by that is, with Time Wave, it was basically like, yeah, it's illegal to criticize people. Well, okay. You could have told that joke and that story in any setting. And the political campaigning jokes of Mechocracy also could have been done in any setting. What they do in M Corp to make the points about what corporations can do or what they would do if they could get away with it are things that could only work in a sci-fi setting. So that is a much better integration of the thing they're satirizing with the world of the show. And it makes it probably the best written. I mean, the reason I have Mechocracy so high is like it just kind of hit my happy spot in a few places. But from a writing standpoint, this is the best one. It's certainly the sharpest. It's the most pointed. And while the escalation is very clear where everything's going and it's not particularly surprising, it's not something most stories could have done. It's taken to a level that you have to be in a sci-fi setting to do. I thought that was pretty dang neat. The solution is a little bit of a cheap way out, but I mean, the things are only half hour long. Sometimes you get that. And then it wrapped up with Skipper. This one was also pretty fun. And I feel like this is the one other people like the most. And I liked it a lot too, but again, for hitting my nostalgia buttons than for being really cleverly written. So this one, we have Rimmer getting the ability to jump between dimensions and try and find one that he likes better than the situation he's in. And it's all over the place. He goes to a reality where, Lister is sophisticated and really likes Rimmer. And he's like, oh, well, I'll stay here. This is wonderful. But then it turns out that the cat is instead a rat. And that's not just an aesthetic difference. That's an unpleasant rat. And so there's things like that. Or we get Rimmer basically ending up in the situation he was in at the very, very, very start of the series while Lister was in suspended animation. And we get to see Rimmer in that classic outfit with the big metallic H. Interacting with Holly, that was great. That was great seeing Holly. And there was some wonderful callbacks to the old show. Some very direct ones too. Again, because I know that those first few seasons, especially, so well. We have a reversal from the very first episode where Lister came out of suspended animation and he's having this conversation with Holly. He's like, "Where is everybody?" "The dead Dave." "What? Selby?" "He's dead, Dave." "Todd Hunter?" "He's dead, Dave." "Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave." And he just keeps going back and forth. And this time, Rimmer going, "They're not dead?" "Nobody's dead, Arnold. Nobody is dead. Nobody is dead, Arnold." I love that. That's what I mean by hitting my nostalgia. And they also brought back the guy who played Captain Hollister. That was cool and funny. And that was enjoyable. I did like that as well. I feel like overall the weaker episodes are on the front half of the series. Episodes 1, 2, 3, they're fine. We get to 4, 5, 6. That's where the good stuff is. And I think I might have talked myself into M Corp being the best one. I'm not sure it's the funniest in terms of like raw laughter, but it's the smartest written for sure. So that's Red Dwarf Series 12. Now, if you don't mind me, I gotta figure out how that smeg I'm gonna watch the new thing that they did. Well, in any case, what do you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something on down in the comments. And let's talk about it. Why did I mess around with my tongue like that? I don't know. Usual stuff, like, subscribe. If my tongue didn't completely put you off, feel free to share this with other people. Or maybe if it did put you off, share it with other people so we can put them off too. Spread the... And, no pressure though. Don't worry about it. We just pretty relaxed around here. So just stop on by next time you need a break.